Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Roadworks completed on a significant portion of the Southern Main Road. The Land Settlement Agency distributes certificates of comfort to scores of proud recipients in Arimo. And Trinidad and Tobago hosts a regional leadership development program. Thank you for joining us. Trinidad and Tobago has hosted a regional leadership development program which is expected to enhance the type of public service that is produced by the region.
The government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in recognizing the importance of fostering an environment for the enhancement of the skills and abilities of those in the public service, hosted the Caribbean Leadership Project's Leadership Development Program. The program was born out of a desire to support public service leaders in developing their capacity to contribute more efficiently to regional integration, economic growth, and gender-sensitive public sector reform. On Monday, several public service leaders from around the region gathered at the Hyatt Regency Trinidad for the opening ceremony for Module 3 of the Leadership Development Program. Minister of Public Administration, the Honorable Caroline Sipasad-Bajan, signaled her appreciation for the program as she cited the areas that require attention.
Today, with the growth of the service industry, new opportunities emerge for each and every one of us individually and collectively as countries within this region to increase our participation in the global competitive environment. However, every survey has shown that the public service is the biggest impediment nationally and regionally to the ease of doing business in this region. Clearly, it is an area where leadership is lacking.
The Honorable Minister of Public Administration noted the benefits that can be derived from the Leadership Development Program, which she believes would raise the standard of public service in the region.
Our countries individually and collectively have made a huge impact on the culture of the world, on sports, on entertainment, through our writers and artists, yet we are unable to do it successfully, as consistently, and as completely in the spheres of public service and business development. The question is, why? Despite the negatives, I am an eternal optimist. I am positive and have reason for hope in both public service transformation and in the sustainable development of our region. The program in which you are participating can and will contribute substantially to develop the future leaders that we need, the structures in which they will work, and the public service organizations that they lead.
The Caribbean Leadership Project is a 7-year-long project funded by the Canadian International Development Agency to support the leadership and economic development training needs of regional and national public sectors in 12 CARICOM countries. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Persons traveling along the Southern Main Road can now do so with ease as roadworks have been completed on a significant portion of the roadway. This follows years of neglect on a vital artery which connects North Trinidad to South Trinidad.
Commuters and motorists alike are today benefiting from the completion of another phase of roadworks along the Southern Main Road. This time, the project saw the widening of the roadway from Bassey Trace to Trantrail Road, as well as the rehabilitation of several connecting roads. The works were completed by 3 contractors, Trinidad Contractors Limited, General Earth Movers Limited, and Siroram Brothers Limited, all at a cost of $21 million in a period of 10 months. The national community as a whole is expected to benefit greatly from the completion of this project, especially members of the surrounding communities and students of the University of the West Indies.
Projects like these should not just be evaluated in terms of the money spent, but evaluated in terms of the reduction of human suffering that it brings, and also in terms of the reduction in stress that people have faced in this particular area of the roadway. Of course, it narrows as you go to Kedana, and it's something that we have to look at in terms of what we do in that particular area.
The newly appointed Minister of Works and Infrastructure noted that the completion of the particular phase of the roadworks must be tied in with the overall development that is taking place in the area.
When you look at what has happened here, it is not about just this piece of roadway. You have to connect this with the bridge that was built. You have to connect it with the roundabout. And then connect all of that with the expansion of the roadway that's taking place right on to the highway. And you will see that there's methodology and there's thinking in what is being done, although it might be done in phases. But it will bring tremendous relief, especially when you consider that on some days there are 600, 700 cars if there are a couple of funerals at the cremation site.
Meanwhile, Minister of State in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, the Honorable Stacey Rupnarayan, praised the efforts of the Pure Unit and looks forward to the significant partnership between the Ministry of Local Government and her ministry through Minister Rambachan's appointment.
I think that we have certainly been doing a lot of work in the ministry. In particular, under the Pure Unit, we currently have approximately 180 projects at an approximate cost of $300 million being done as we speak. So I say this because I know that in many regions, sometimes people feel that we are not getting to their road. Please have patience. I know that Ministry of Works often have to work very closely with Ministry of Local Government to ensure delivery. And now that we have one minister, perhaps we can have a better alignment of our projects to ensure that there are no overlaps and so on. And we are paying particular attention to areas that have been neglected for many, many years.
During the project, several residents in the area were inconvenienced but weathered the storm in recognition of the larger benefit. The chairman of the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation called on citizens to adopt such trains of thought and explained that each citizen has a responsibility.
We all have to be a part of making it happen in a positive way, whether we like this government or not. This government is here to serve everyone, and there is no doubt that our ministers are very hard-working people. But at the end of the day, our country will be better if we have good citizens. And it is the responsibility of every citizen to do what we can to make things better within our community. Representation, it's not just at the level of your elected representative, but also in terms of you as in your community.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, the Land Settlement Agency distributes certificates of comfort to scores of proud recipients in Arima. Chairman of the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation, Khadija Amin, is strongly advising new landowners who receive their certificates of comfort via the Land Settlement Agency to refrain from selling the land they have been given. She was speaking at the Land Settlement Agency's Certificate of Comfort distribution ceremony in Arima, where scores of persons were proud recipients.
I know of people who, when they get their certificate of comfort, they feel they could sell their land. It is still not your land, it is the state land. And you have a responsibility to not abuse the title that you are being handed. There are people who are selling for, in some cases, more than $100,000, just a piece of land. No house, no nothing. Some all shaking all their head, all they know what I'm talking about. And I am saying that we have to be guardians and ensure that the certificate we are getting is not abused. Because if you get a certificate of comfort, you would have gotten it because you are landless. And having the certificate of comfort and selling it will put you right back in square one, landless.
New landowners being warned not to abuse the new title they have been given. The Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation's chairman says this opportunity to own land is a golden one, a chance to elevate oneself.
Not having a place to call home, not knowing if you can stay where you are for a few months, a few years, or a few days, not knowing whether your children are going to be secure or whether they are going to be homeless, is probably one of the most terrible feelings in the world, for especially for a parent. Knowing that you have a piece of land, even if you have a 10 by 10 structure on it, gives you a sense of security. And this handing of the certificate of comfort is probably one of the steps along the way, but it is the beginning of your security.
Also speaking at the event was Arts and Multiculturalism Minister Dr. Lincoln Douglas, who says owning a piece of land is the most basic and fundamental right and privilege that an individual has, and it is also a step out of poverty.
A place to call your own and a place to call your home. It is the beginning of being a wealthy person. It is the beginning of having some form of collateral in order to advance your life and to make your life meaningful. And so today, this is a tremendous opportunity. It will take you a long time to be wealthy or to move yourself out of poverty if you have to spend all your life renting a piece of land and then renting the house on the piece of land or renting all your life.
Arima Mayor Gassan Youssef says this initiative should put a dent on crime.
So once we take care of the people and really give them something to own, that will have an effect on crime.
Vuna Bharath, News 4.
Local government consultation continues across the country in order to solicit the views of the people and to find out how best the Ministry of Local Government can meet the needs of citizens. A forum on policy on local government transportation and modernization took place in Siparia.
The proceedings of the consultation generated discussions, in particular for the Siparia area. This is yet another testimony of the People's Partnership Administration's commitment to people-centered development and local democracy and good governance.
I will agree with the changes that are being put forward because definitely we have to bring to the fore at this point in time. And I don't even think freedom of the press, because I see freedom of the press every single way with social media. And I think we have over freedom of press now, over freedom, because when you look at the media and what's happening, it's going beyond. So excellent in constitutional reform and producing the results. Each one of us has to contribute.
The Court of Appeal, the lower court, what is happening there? Because it seems that the court is only working for one set of people, which is the rich ones. It's not working for the small ones. And if you look what is happening in our country, you will see that you lost your case at the highest court, which is the Privy Council.
Crime is not only in Trinidad, it's a worldwide phenomenon. And what we need to do is to address this situation from its roots. And I want to say that the state should work in conjunction with the faith-based organizations.
The Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago sets out the way in which the state is structured and governed. It also sets out some of the powers of key office holders, such as the Prime Minister, members of parliaments, and the Chief Justice. The Constitution determines the direction of the state, including the manner in which the state is organized and the fundamental principles according to which the state is governed. The Constitution is currently in the process of reviewing the Act in an attempt to determine how it may be made more effective in the fight against corruption. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
And that should be transformation and modernization. When we come back, UTT presents awards for sporting excellence. Stay with us. The University of Trinidad and Tobago presented awards for sporting excellence to students for the academic year 2012-2013 on Tuesday at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts. News 4 Sports was there, and we have more in this report from Wayne Cunningham.
SUCCESS, Success, is an acronym for the Students' University Campuses and Communities Education and Sports Services, and the Success Unit of the University of Trinidad and Tobago for the past 6 years, has coordinated and implemented sporting competitions at both the intercampus and intertertiary levels. On Tuesday, the outstanding participants for the 2012-2013 academic year were honored. The first awards on the night were for the table tennis competition, which was won by the University of Trinidad and Tobago San Fernando campus. UTT Umera was victorious in the intercampus division of the netball competition, while the University of the Southern Caribbean won the intertertiary league contest. The knockout was taken by Daystar Smith and her UTT teammates, who received their prize from the legendary Bridget Adams. The T20 Cricket Awards were next, and former West Indies pace bowler Tony Gray presented the winner's trophy and medals to UTT Corinth campus. In the windball division, Ricardo Virasamy of John Donaldson campus took the lion's share of the individual awards, including most wickets in a match, most wickets in the first round, and MVP of the first round. UTT Corinth campus also took top honors in the windball version of the game. Amongst the basketballers, Jeffrey Harris was the overall MVP. He attends the University of Trinidad and Tobago. He and his squad were the winners of the intertertiary division. Former national player and coach Everett Gali Cummins did the honors for football. Cipriani College of Labour won the league contest in the intertertiary division, while UTT captured the Big Four title. The inter-campus competition was won by San Fernando Technical Institute. A number of national athletes attend the University of Trinidad and Tobago at the High Performance Development Center, and the outstanding performers for the academic period were recognized. They include sprinter LaShawn Noel, high jumper Dominic Richards, javelin thrower Karen Brown, quarter miler Curdell McIntosh, middle distance runners Matthew Hagley and Sterling Paul, as well as long jumpers Atiba Wright and Kevin Roberts, discus thrower Siobhan Worrell, and hurdle specialist Christian Hood Boyce rounded out the list. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, national security officers are appreciated. Stay with us. In June 2012, the government of Trinidad and Tobago agreed to the establishment of a National Security Officers Foundation under the auspices of the Ministry of National Security, and to the declaration of April 26th each year as a National Security Officers Day of Appreciation. In commemoration of the National Security Officers Day of Appreciation 2013, an interfaith service was held at the Queen's Hall on the weekend.
Scores of officers of the National Security Officers Foundation attended the first ever interfaith service ahead of the National Security Officers Day of Appreciation 2013, guarded for April 26th. Speaking at the interfaith service, advisor to the National Security Minister, Wayne Riley, said his ministry stands behind all of its officers.
No one understands the split decisions you have to take in a world where nanotechnology is now slow time. As a society, all we do is to look for the errors, stand in condemnation, pass judgment without an analysis of the facts, and hold our own inquisitions with prosecutorial inefficiencies that lead only to inhuman and inhumane conclusions. Today, the Ministry of National Security assures you that while we do not fully comprehend, we will always stand in defense of our officers.
Meanwhile, Canon Major John Rahim of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force says we need to recognize the hard work of the officers under the Ministry of National Security.
We are called to put aside our personal desires and feelings and to press on towards a sacrificial road. And sometimes it is very sacrificial. What is unfortunate, however, is that the sacrifices of these faithful, and I would like to use the term, soldier and servants, are not recognized. And I wondered sometimes how these people feel. I wonder how our soldiers and our policemen and our prison officers and our fire services, and on the list goes on, how they feel when all you get on the television screen, in the newspapers, on the radio, is condemnation and criticisms. Sometimes it will be good to offer a word of commendation, because one word or two words of commendation can go a long way. We need to be people who can recognize the goodness in each other and not the ugliness and the weaknesses.
The interfaith service was preceded by a march past by various divisions of the Ministry of National Security, from the National Academy of the Performing Arts to the Queen's Hall. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.